Oh wow, Dollar, and you got a nice clickbait title over here. Wow, super amazing. Wow, what a great job. 10 out of 10. Before you dislike the video, let me explain. I was perusing MMO Champion, and there was an interesting post. A post that suggested that classic servers, classic WoW, could be ultimately the end of World of Warcraft. A lot of us are super excited about BFA. A lot of us are super excited about what is next to come. We are excited about the Horde versus Alliance conflict, the Anduin and his arc, Sylvanas and what she's going to end up doing, the new zones and the brand new content. So how could it be the end of World of Warcraft? Well, eventually classic servers are going to rear its head, and I'm super excited about them. I'm actually very excited about classic servers and the notion that I will be able to go back and play old school expansion, not even expansion, the original version of the game. And it will be 100% not against TOS because it'll be made by Blizzard. Now that's definitely drumming up a lot of excitement ever since they announced it. So many veteran players got super excited and super animated to want to play it. Some people are even hanging out on private servers, even though Blizzard probably doesn't like you doing that. They are hanging out on private servers right now to learn how the game is played. So once Blizzard releases Classic WoW, they are already ahead of the competition. There's a lot of players that never got to experience classic World of Warcraft, whether they financially couldn't do it, like a kid that didn't have an allowance, or simply didn't live in US, so just didn't really have the opportunity. 2004 was a weird year where I did a lot of console gaming. So for me, World of Warcraft definitely was not on the horizon, and it was something that was super niche. Not everybody in the mother was into it, but it wasn't as big as it is now. So for me to be able to go back and play the expansion that so many of my viewers keep telling me about and experience it together with them, I think it's just sounds like a great idea. But let's imagine, how could classic servers destroy the current WoW? Imagine you've been playing BFA for a while and you've been enjoying it, but there's a bit of a lull in content. There's not a lot to do. You've done the dungeons, you've done the raids, you're kind of waiting for the next expansion, and let's say you've been playing it for a year or two. And then they announce Classic WoW. They'll launch classic servers, and you get with your buddies that played it, that know the game like the back of their hand, and you get into it. You quickly realize that you only have 4 races per faction to join, and your classes are limited, but you guys decided to end up making a bunch of dwarfs either way. You get into the game, you realize it's a whole nother beast, you need to dedicate a lot more time, but you get really into it. And together with your friends, you guys start questing, you start leveling, exploring zones, get into some actual world PvP that you missed for a while, doing dungeons, get into max level, and now it's time to start farming your gear so you can finally take on Ragnaros. And you get so invested in the game, and you keep playing, and you invest in more time, and that's it. Well, I don't mean like they're gonna pull the plug on everything that's World of Warcraft related, but maybe let's say they just stop making expansions for further expansions. Now, these are not my words, these are the words of the person writing the forum post, so I just kind of want to explore on the idea. What is the possibility? Now, I'm not going to quote the original author of the post because I felt like grammatically it was really hard to say some of the sentences. Yeah, it was hard. You don't want to hear me trying to say that out loud, so I'm just going to paraphrase it. The idea that World of Warcraft has been at a pretty decent decline ever since the announcement of Kata, and from Kata onwards, you simply just did not have as many people enjoying the expansions. Classic saw a good niche community joining in. The BC had the slight rise, and then Wrath, this is where it was the tip of the iceberg. So the idea for classic servers to come out, so many people are going to be drawn into it. So many people that never tried it, and then there's going to be a good chunk of people that can finally play Blizzard retail servers without having to play on private servers, which the server poster is estimating about 1.2 million people across a lot of private servers. This is from vanilla to Wrath, so that's a good chunk of people. So the trends are that the game is kind of sloping down, and the previous expansions have been great, and why would they ever stop at vanilla when they could just get another server for WoW Classic for BC, or a couple different servers, and then why stop there? Why not add a Wrath of Lich King? So now you have 3 different choices of ice scheme. You have the Frosty Wrath, you have the Fel TBC, and then you got your original vanilla. So everybody would be happy. So the idea, of course, everybody would flock. Why would Blizzard continue making expansions for the game that seems to be failing on and on when previous expansions have done so well? The idea and implied that the trends would probably have everybody go to Classic and really just start forgetting about Current. Now, I will say, if you look at the trends, it is kind of true. Classic, BC, and Wrath had a lot of people playing, and a lot of people are going back to those expansions, whether through private servers or as soon as WoW Classic is releasing, and are going to be all over it. And yeah, it's true that ever since Cataclysm, the numbers simply just haven't been the same. And now that Blizzard doesn't really disclose the numbers, we don't really know how big Legion has been. Although I want to say it's been pretty good. A lot of people were comparing it to Wrath of the Lich King at one point during its peak hours. And I still feel like the game is doing pretty well, but we just don't know the exact number, so that's really up in the air. Nothing is forever, but people continue playing older versions of games, and we don't really have WoW Classic made by Blizzard. Now that we will eventually, what is the possibility that everybody would just stop caring at one point about the next expansion for World of Warcraft? What is the possibility that they would just not care what else Blizzard has to throw at them, and simply the idea of MMOs is just not really quite their thing? So why don't they appease the niche community that is already there, that is craving the vanillas, the TBCs, and the Wraths, the expansions that did super well? To add on to the point, which is something the forum post didn't provide, but I took a look at some of the upcoming MMOs, and don't really have the trend of World of Warcraft. It is true, World of Warcraft has been, I would say, like a theme park MMO. You kind of just start from the beginning, you get through the content, you get to experience it, and I guess World of Warcraft in a way has redefined what an MMORPG is. Yet so many other games with a class system, with a profession system, with a dungeon system, raid system, competing with them. At one point there was just about every single game coming out of the corner, and now I think the only one that's actually competitive is maybe Final Fantasy XIV, but even those guys don't really reveal their numbers, so we don't really know just how big these games are. Regardless, I took a look at some of the upcoming MMOs, the new MMORPG type of games that are on the horizon. And if you ever watch Lazy Peon, then I think you know exactly some of the games, and I think you heard some of these games before. But Ashes of Creation, Star Citizen, Shroud of Avatar, Camelot Unchained, Crowfall, and Chronicles of Illyria. All these games, if you never heard of them, one thing that they have in common is a pretty open world, and it's almost like a less of World of Warcraft-y type of combat, less World of Warcraft type of class system. Some of them even have a combination of world building, house building, buildings, building castles, building sieges, and more realistic. So less of the whole might and magic, but more about a survival aspects combined with an MMO. With a very, very customizable feel, like you can almost customize just about anything, very sandbox-y elements to it, but not quite something that you would see in World of Warcraft. So if that is the future of MMOs, and if the trends do show us that previous expansions have been great, I guess there's some possibility that people would just stop caring about the next World of Warcraft expansion to a certain degree. Now, I guess this is the part of the video where I give you my opinions on the forum post. I actually thought it was an interesting idea, and that's why I wanted to cover it. I thought it was thought-provoking. I actually kind of liked that thought, but I don't think we will ever really do that. First of all, for World of Warcraft, let's be honest, it's their baby. For Blizzard, World of Warcraft is the love child of Chris Metzen and everything that has been great about WoW. And yeah, they've made a lot of mistakes in the past, but if you look at Legion and its trends, a lot of people would describe Legion very TBC-like or Wrath-like. They actually have better trends that are similar to Wrath and TBC, in terms of how the game has been played and the customization and the player base and the content, the type of content, than let's say Warlords, because Warlords was a really different game and Legion is a whole another beast. Warlords and Cataclysm were the casual aspect of World of Warcraft, the casual aspect of the MMO, and Legion seems to be turning it around. Would BFA to continue the trends of Legion and expand on the good stuff, and developers saying that they learned their faults from the bad stuff, like the RNG, the fact that it's everywhere, the legendary system, the bad aspects of the artifact weapon system. It seems to me that the game is just continuing to evolve, and the developers are still making decisions, but they're making decisions in the right direction. Again, we can't really say just how popular and crazy Legion has been in terms of its sub numbers, because we don't really know. They don't release that information. So the only thing I have is speculation. But from what I've been playing, I really do feel like it's a different game. And one of the things that we could get once BFA comes out and Classic, let's say if they're both available at the around same time, because we don't know when Classic will be released, I honestly don't think people that were playing BFA with your niceties like LFR and the class system and the pruning and every spec is viable type of system, and a lot of them are going to jump into vanilla and stay there. I feel like a lot of people will see the OG of the game, how it originally was played, and with the trends where the games are more resembling BC and Wrath, they'll play vanilla for a bit, and they'll come back to BFA. Between content, of course, you know, patches and whatnot, maybe friends go level, and then those friends get tired of vanilla, you go back to BFA. I feel like a lot of people that World of Warcraft basically ended up attracting, which is more of the casual community, not really the hardcore vanilla community, a lot of them will find BFA actually up to their speed. So I honestly think Classic in a way will serve as one of the popular choices and popular decisions that Blizzard has done in order to appease the community that really wanted vanilla World of Warcraft. Kind of like how we have the original Call of Duty games, but with WoW you can never really go back, and now you will be able to, which is awesome. And they should do it for all the expansions so people can go back and check out those expansions and play them and kind of have that as part of the history in a way. But I don't think that your current player base of World of Warcraft, which is a whole nother game, WoW Legion for example, is a whole nother beast compared to Classic, you attracted a whole different kind of player base to the game. So I feel like those kind of player base, that chunk of player base, I feel like almost want to say a good majority, will not be able to stay in vanilla. A lot of people will go back to BFA. That's my thought process. I don't think this is going to be the end of World of Warcraft. I actually think, in a way, we will have a system where the new expansions will feed the Classic, and the Classics will feed the new expansions. You'll have the flip sides. You'll be able to try one side of the grass and the other. And I feel like it'll kind of just keep the company going. People will be paying for 2 different accounts, so more money that they can invest into either resources or loot boxes, or more in the cash shop, or maybe more into further expansion. So I feel like honestly it will just feed itself until something happens. I don't really know what, but I honestly don't think anything negative out of this. I only see the positive. I think having a Classic WoW will just feed into the new expansions, and new expansions will feed back into Classic. Whatever one didn't do right, probably the other has what you wanted, and then vice versa. And I feel like a lot of people will flip back and forth, and yes, some people will just stick to the newest expansion, some people will stick to just the most classic content, but I think there's going to be a huge market of maybe at least 60 to 70, maybe even 80 people that will kind of just hover back and forth, and will have no problem paying for more than one account just to try everything. Plus, Vanilla Classic has a limited amount of resources and a limited amount of content that you could have, unless Blizzard ends up making more content for Vanilla, which I think is unlikely. So once that content runs dry, here's the new expansion with the brand new content. So again, I just feel like it'll be one of those things that feeds into each other. But let me know your guys' thoughts. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think. This was a bit of a weird discussion, and I just thought it was awesome. Just the thought process. It really got me stimulated to want to talk about it. So thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know your comments down below. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, want to see discussions like these, go ahead and give the video a like. Likes allow my videos to reach a wider audience and grow my channel, so that'll be very much appreciated. And if you guys enjoyed this kind of videos, 5511 duels, patch updates, BFA updates, go ahead and hit subscribe. We are almost at 60k subscribers, which is super exciting to see that kind of milestone for the channel. And also, if you simply just want to see 2 videos a day of daily entertainment. If you guys want to catch some of the live streams, the best way to do it is to hit the notification bell down below in order to be notified for every single video and every single live stream that goes up, so you guys might even have a chance to participate in the live streams. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in another video.